creativity is part of the basic cognitive software. This is how brains work in the first place. They absorb everything and then they bend and break and blend the inputs to generate new ideas. And so the interesting part about creativity is that this is just what brains do. You can't get it to do otherwise. Take, for example, memory. We all see some event, we say, oh, I remember it, you remember it, we all remember it, but in fact, it's very different in our memories. Why? It's because the stuff that goes in there gets mixed and absorbed with all the other things that we have in there. We come away with our own interpretations. So this is what the brain is doing. There was a recent study in the United States about creativity, and what they looked at was the socioeconomic status of children growing up. And it turns out that if you grow up in a wealthy neighborhood, you're 10 times more likely to get a patent when you're an adult. Even though when you measure children for their creativity, they're all equally creative. It's not something that just goes with wealthy communities. The difference is, with poorer communities, the thing that gets stripped out of there first are the arts, and the education is all about teaching to the test. And in wealthy communities, kids tend to get to go to Lego camp and space camp and art camp and do various things. And that's the important difference, is being able to make sure that our children are being taught in a creative manner. Part of the reason it's so important to teach children creatively is because the jobs that will exist in 20 or 30 years from now, we can't even guess what they are. And the reason we know this is because when we were in school, we were taught towards certain careers and professions, and many of those don't exist anymore, and many new ones do. I mean, when I was in school, the idea of being a blogger or a multimedia designer or a web page designer, those things didn't even exist. Or an AI designer. I mean, when I was in school, AI was essentially a failure, and now it's taking off again. So the important part for us to teach our children is how to be creative rather than a set of facts that they need to know. Happily, this is very easy for schools to be able to do this, because the idea is you teach children what has come before them. That's a very important part of it. But then you teach it as a springboard, where you have the kids jump off of that and do their own versions of things. And that last part is the part that tends to be missing in schools, is okay, we're going to build in a week at the end of the semester where kids take everything they've learned and they go into their own directions with it.